Shameless. United in the Europa League. Europa League. Me tell them one time and we say Europa League.
Manchester United 4, Real Betis 1, and Manchester United react. We see the reaction, we get the reaction certainly that we were looking for. Erik ten Hag gets the reaction that certainly he was looking for as well after this past weekend's defeat against Liverpool at Anfield. And to be honest, it was particularly in the second half, massive reaction. I thought in the second half we played really, really well. My only concern at one point was that we weren't going to kill the game off because, my goodness me, I mean, we won 4-1. It could have been 5, maybe even 6-1 with the opportunities that we had. I think you would say near enough the tie's done. It's over. You've got a 3-goal lead. Yes, you're going away from home. It's Europe. Anything can happen. As we have seen recently, we're not opposed to conceding a lot of goals. But at the same time, you would feel that we're through to the next round, through to the quarterfinals, which is a massive positive. And it's all that we really could do. We spoke about the fallout of the game at the weekend, and we spoke about that the only thing you can really do is win the next game and be convincing in winning the game as well. It wasn't necessarily just about the result. It was about the performance that came with it. And the performance on a whole is very, very positive. Now, could it have been different? Absolutely. At points, it could have been different. We did. To be honest, it goes to show how much of an outlier that Liverpool game is, because realistically, the game kind of followed the pattern that we've seen quite a bit recently, where it starts pretty well, start okay, but once you get closer to half-time, a bit rocky and maybe a bit fortunate only to go in at half-time level, and then second half completely react, play well, score goals, win the game. And to be honest, as I said, I was really curious to see how we were going to start, how we were going to shape up. Of course, Erik ten Hag obviously made 0 changes to the starting 11, which is bold, like him, a bold choice for a bold manager. But I think his point was, I want you to go out there and show people that it was an anomaly, show that it was a fluke, show what you're really capable of. You got yourself into this mess. Now you've got the opportunity to go out there and fix it. And we did start bright. We started very bright, I think. Weghorst got the ball in the back of the net and it was ruled out for offside. I mean, what a night he had, certainly with the amount of chances he had. Thank goodness he got that goal later on. But Marcus Rashford opens the scoring, absolutely leathers it past Claudio Bravo in goal. And it was a Bruno pass. Yes, got a bit fortunate in how it ended up to Rashford, but he continues his hot streak. I think he's not gone 2 games without scoring a goal since October, and it just goes to show, again, the form he's in. I've seen, since the Liverpool defeat, I've seen people try and rewrite that as well by pointing out that maybe certain players in the Premier League might have more goals than him this season. But in all competitions, I believe, in terms of the top leagues, it's only Erling Haaland and Kylian Mbappe that's got more goals than Marcus Rashford in totality this year. Yet people trying to rewrite that he's not in form this season, which is bizarre. But again, he looked bright. And even he, I think, by his new high standards, would probably say that he maybe could have had more this evening. And again, then for sort of 25 minutes of that first half, 35 minutes, if you will, we really made chances. We looked dangerous. We were creating things. Weghorst could have made it 2-0. It was a short cross. Weghorst had a shot. It was blocked by the defender. Wasn't given. Should have been given as a corner. Rashford nearly got another one. Claudio Bravo rushes out and stops him. Weghorst with another miss. He would probably been offside there. But already, you're saying that it could have been 3-0 up. And United were really knocking on the door to make it 2-0. And then, to be honest, against the run of play, Betis get the goal. And I think there'll be an inquest in it. You could arguably say Luke Shaw should get out more to him. He's tucked in and he doesn't really... It's not necessarily the fact that he's tucked in is the problem. The problem is that he just doesn't go out fast enough to Ayoze Perez. It's a brilliant goal. Like, in terms of a finish, I saw some people criticising De Gea for that. There was a lot to criticise, I think, David De Gea about tonight, but I don't think that goal was one of them. I thought it was a great finish. For me, in the build-up to it, it's handball. Now, it's one of these weird, stupid handball rules whereby, because it wasn't Perez that handballed it, if it had touched Perez's hand or arm in the build-up to that, they'd have said, well, it doesn't matter if it's accidental or not, we've got to rule it out. But because it wasn't him in the build-up to it, it was another player. But for me, he goes like this. He clearly directs his arm towards the ball, and it should be ruled out for a handball. I mean, talk about dodgy handball decisions in the Europa League this season. Lissandro Martinez, that gets given a penalty in match day 1 against Real Sociedad. That's deemed as handball, but in the build-up to that goal, that's not handball. No consistency whatsoever. It's nonsense. And then we were really sort of hanging on a little bit as we got close to half-time. It should have been 2-1. David De Gea did not have a good night when it came to distribution. And he played into the hands of people that will criticise him about not being good with his feet, because the pass he does, I don't actually know what he's doing. At least sometimes when he'll kick the ball out of play or it'll go to a player or he looks uncomfortable, you can kind of see what he's trying to do. I have no idea what he was trying to do with that pass, and he passes it straight to a Betis player and it hits the post, and we were fortunate to be going in at half-time just 1-1. And you thought, again, with what happened at the weekend, and particularly after... Again, really what happened against Liverpool was we played well for 30, 40 minutes. They scored just before half-time, and then we completely collapsed coming out in the second half. You thought, could that happen again here? You know, we got a bit of a blow just before half-time. How are we going to react? And the answer was, brilliantly, Aaron Wan-Bissaka came on for Diogo Dalot. I think that Wan-Bissaka's been really unfortunate not to be starting games recently. I think in the cup final, we all said, I think most people said that the most surprising call was that Wan-Bissaka didn't play. It was the same in the Premier League as well. I think at Anfield, people said Wan-Bissaka should have started, and it's a testament to how well he's playing. Once again, right at the beginning of the half, David De Gea gives a real hospital pass to Lisandro Martinez, and a lesser defender, you know, a Harry Maguire, a Victor Lindelof, doesn't get out of the trouble. But Lisandro Martinez is so good on the ball, he's able to get past 3 Real Betis attackers, but it was a bad pass. And De Gea, certainly, again, I don't think had a good evening at all. And then we just leveled it up. We went into cruise control, and Anthony, brilliant goal. Trademark Anthony goal, really. And it's funny because that's what we're used to with him in terms of when he does score goals. It's those kind of goals. It's cut inside, whip it. If anything, it's poor defending, you could argue, because you know what he's going to do. But that's what we've been saying. We've been saying that if you're going to be that predictable, at least when you do it, make sure the defender can't stop you, and you put it in the back of the net. And he did just that. So it was a fantastic goal, makes it 2-1. And then Bruno Fernandes. What better way to silence the doubters and the critics and the media? It won't, because the media is still going to live up this result over the weekend, because they've got nothing else better to do than get the clicks by punishing Manchester United and saying that we're terrible, and as I mentioned, try and rewrite history. But Bruno gets his goal, and it's much better by that point. It's a free header from a short corner. Could argue that the keeper could do better, but I thought Bruno did really well this evening, and I think it's no coincidence that he plays well when he's played centrally. You know, at Anfield, he was off the left-hand side, and I think we've maybe tinkered around, or Ten Hag's maybe tinkered around too much with Weghorst as a 10, or is he a 9? Rashford, should we put him in the 9? And Bruno, should we put him out left or right? What works is Rashford on the left, Anthony on the right, Bruno for the middle, Weghorst as the 9. And maybe we just got too carried away with ourselves because we sprung that surprise on Barcelona and it worked. But because it works for one game doesn't necessarily mean it will work for every game. And I think it's no coincidence that Bruno played through the middle this evening and was really effective. And as I mentioned, after being 3-1 up, we still had opportunities. Anthony should have clearly made it 4-1. It was a great bit of football. Bruno Fernandes passes it through to Anthony. He's through on goal and he tries to chip it over Bravo. He should square it. It's 4-1 and you're saying you could kill the tie there. He makes more subs, Ten Hag. Rashford comes off for Sancho. Shaw comes off for Malacia. Bruno possibly could have got a red card. I think Bruno had the right to go for the ball, but his feet was up. He went over. Luckily, he doesn't hit him with his studs. He kind of hits him with the side of his foot, so he gets him over. He gets a book in. But he might have been a bit fortunate there. Another day, particularly in Europe, you never know what they're going to do. Weghorst, once again, could have made it 4-1. Anthony has a one-on-one. Claudio Bravo makes a save. So, but again, by this point, you're saying, man, this could have been 5 or 6-1. And I just was thinking, let's not have regrets going into the leg next week. Let's kill this one off. Let's really show a statement and show a reaction. And we did that. Weghorst gets his goal. And really, Weghorst gets the goal, but it's all about Facundo Pellistri, who came on for Anthony on the right-hand side, and he was dynamic, he was fast, he was direct, and KG spoke about it in his fan view. You do look at him and say, well, why can't he be the same thing that Garnacho is on the left-hand side, where it is 20 minutes remaining? If Anthony's not doing it, bring on Pellistri because he'll run at players. And that's something we don't see Anthony do enough. Sometimes Anthony is too cut inside predictable. And Pellistri isn't that. He's a bit less predictable. And sometimes later on in the game where you just need a little bit of magic, you need unpredictability. And that's really what Pellistri could be. So I think he's really asked some decent questions. And it's not the first time he's done that this season too. We've seen that in other games, in other cameos. So I'm hoping to see more from Facundo Pellistri. But overall, in terms of the collective, really happy with that result. Really happy with the performance. Was it a perfect performance? No. And I think at points you can still see elements of fragility. But if you'd have said before the game, you win the game 4-1, no problem whatsoever. And I think Ten Hag will be really pleased by that. And the next step, part of the comeback and the reaction is to do it again on Sunday against Southampton in the Premier League and then really start to build momentum again. And I have total faith that Ten Hag and this team can do that. So on to the next round, on to Sunday, and the recovery process continues.